Convierte tu pasión en un negocio con Shopify y bate récords de ventas con la forma de pago con mejor conversión del mundo. ¿Has oído bien? La mejor conversión del mundo. El increíble sistema de pago de Shopify facilita las compras en tu sitio web, en las redes sociales y en cualquier lugar. Eso es música para tus oídos. No le des más vueltas. Tu negocio será un super éxito con Shopify. Empieza tu periodo de prueba por €1 al mes en shopify.es/records.
Oxygen, oxygen, oxygen. We need it, we need it, we need it. Oxygen, oxygen. It's why we breathe.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Small Business Stories. You know me, you know the voice, Dr. LL, aka Laurelyn. And we are so excited to be kicking off season 6. I know, can you believe it? Almost 300 interviews later. That's right. Small Business Stories. Yeah, we've gone through a few pivots, a few name changes, but what small business hasn't? So that's just part and parcel. And we're kicking off January with a look at wellness and health and wellness because most of you all in our listenership, the entrepreneurs, the small business owners, the consultants, you do one or two things really well, but there's always room for improvement. That's why you come to our show to listen to these experts. And when we kick off a new year, one of the things that we probably all need to spend a little more attention on is health and wellness. So we've got Lily Kunning, founder of Haven Herbs. Hello, Lily.
Hi, so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, it was a little back and forth on my air. That was my pulp, but we've got it and we're kicking off the new year in stride, all kinds of things. So talk to us. What got you into herbs and herbology and this growing field of interest for so many folks?
Well, herbalism helped me when other things didn't, right? So twice, and then I was really intrigued. So when I was 32, I went into early perimenopause and I was having night sweats, I was cranky, so I went to see my doctor, my HMO doctor, what, right? And she was really dismissive. She was like, "Oh no, you're too young. That's not what it is. That can't be what it is." But she didn't do any tests. I didn't really feel heard. And so, I suffered for a little while longer, but I stumbled into an herb shop in the town that I was living in, San Francisco, California. And it was run by herbalists. And, you know, the herbalist who was on duty was like, "Can I help you with anything?" And something just told me to like take another chance. And so instead of saying, "I think I'm in early perimenopause," I went and described my symptoms. And she was like, "Ah, sounds like you're in early perimenopause." And I was like, "You think?" Uh, so she's like, "Well, have you tried Vitex?" And I was like, "I don't even know what Vitex is, so no." And she gave me this little bottle of a plant extract, and she's like, "Come and see me in a month. It may take up to 3 months on this herb, but it should be good." And sure enough, everything righted itself. My cycles came back. Went on to have a kid later in life, like totally normalized, right? My kid's
Wow.
15 now. And so that was intriguing to me that one berry off of one plant could totally restore everything, right? So that was intriguing. And then, I got injured on the job, a computer-related injury, carpal tunnel, which turned into tendonitis, which turned into frozen fascia in my back, like just a cascade because I kept working, right? That's what you do here.
Of course.
Um, and I saw an acupuncturist, a doctor of Oriental medicine is what they're called, when they have the whole gamut, right? They know herbs, they know acupuncture, they know all of it. And so she was my primary doctor for my injury, and Chinese herbs and all of the energetic medicine as well just really helped me. And my goal was not to have surgery because often it doesn't work and sometimes you end up in more pain. So I did not have surgery, and I got better. I'm no longer in pain all the time and I'm functional. So after that, I was like, this is really interesting to me that plants can do this. And I mean, I shouldn't be surprised, right? The vast majority of the planet uses plants as their primary source of medicine all over the world. The World Health Organization talks about that. But it was new to me. I grew up here in the United States, and so it seemed like it was, alternative medicine. But the real alternative was, what we now call, modern biochemical medicine that accepts insurance. That's the new kid on the block, right? So I went to herb school. I found a school in Berkeley because I was living in the San Francisco Bay Area. Found a school in Berkeley, went to school, and it was focused on clinical practice. So 3 years later, came out with an herbalism degree and certificate, and yeah, I've been herbing it up ever since in multiple states, and now I'm in Ohio, here in the Midwest. And Ohio is fantastic because it is rich in all the botanicals that you could ever want. It's so funny. I go to continuing ed whenever I can, and one of my very favorite herbalists, Matthew Wood, came several years back to Yellow Springs, and so I went to spend a weekend with him, and he was just astonished at what grows natively in Ohio. Like he's in Wisconsin, and he was just like, "This is amazing! Like you guys are wealthy, wealthy in botanicals." So yeah, that's what got me into it, and I've it's definitely the place I want to be. I learn new stuff all the time. I still find it fascinating. I enjoy what I do.
Excellent. And I'm going to do a shout out to Ohio because that was one of the 6 states that I also lived in. I actually left Cleveland as an ambassador for Cleveland because I loved all the changes and the growth that was happening there. And I used to hike all the time through Cuyahoga Falls and through all of that. So I saw a lot of good stuff that was in there. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I can have a little bit of appreciation for the types of herbs and things and stuff that grows that could be magical. So let's talk about this. So that's amazing that you had these two health moments, right? Defining moments, really, not just as far as your career, but your personal life. I mean, you ended up having a child, right? All of these things. Those are big. Those are big, Lily.
Yeah.
And you're not the only one. Americans right now are spending over half a trillion. That's 500 billion with the B on health and wellness, about 65 billion on vitamins and herbs and supplements alone. And globally, I read that the economy is about to just crossed over 6 trillion in health and wellness. Now, does this surprise you or looking at the, oh, I don't know, dumpster fire that the world is, that this is not a surprise? I mean, what do you think?
Oh, um, you know, I've I think we've reached a tipping point. It used to be when I would talk about botanical medicine, um, a lot of people would debate me and call it quackery and like, oh, it's not real medicine. And honestly, Americans have been given the short shrift when it comes to healthcare. It's run by insurance and not by doctors, and often people are denied care. And I think it took desperation with the system for people to start looking elsewhere. But when they do, they come back because it works, I tell people who are new to it, look, not only does the vast majority of the planet's population, human population, get their medicine from plants, but in many, many countries that we admire their healthcare systems, they regulate herbs the way that they regulate pharma. Commission E in Germany, for example, has protocols for elderberry, just like they have protocols for Prozac.
And I think that this is the key. This is what I want to dig into. And I'm glad to hear that people are more open to the conversation. I'm seeing that too. Other people that I talk to, it's like, oh, yeah, yeah, black cohosh. Yeah, night sweats. Here, try this, right?
Yeah.
And but that line, right, where people are saying, ooh, that's quackery. Well, okay, that's opinion. But where it does come down that is really important as a small business owner is that line between what you can say and what you can claim without being held liable. So talk to us about that because that can be a tricky line for business owners to walk.
Yeah, I mean, So I have multiple facets to my business that I have to be careful on all of them, right? So, there's the online apothecary. Every page has both the health disclaimer for the United States and Canada on it because I ship to Canada. Um, the Canadian disclaimer is so much nicer and simpler, can I just say?
As a Canadian, I understand.
No, it's just like if condition worsens or persists, consult a health practitioner. That's all it says.
Seems
Whereas
reasonable.
the FDA one is like, no, but both of them are on there. And of course, you can't make any claims because, the rules have been made by moneyed interests. Both the AMA and pharmaceutical companies have lobbied quite a lot to take words that weren't theirs to begin with, but make it so that you can't use them, right? There's a degree of word restriction. So I can't say anything cures disease, of course, nor would I, because the body is the thing that cures disease, right? We can help it along with, different kinds of supplementation, but yeah, so there's that. I have to be careful about that. I do consultations, wellness consultations, and work with people. And my specialty is folks that suffer from cancer or autoimmune dysfunction. And we work together. And I have to be careful about how I talk about things. And there's a whole document of understanding that they read and agree to before we start. And then I teach classes. And honestly, the classes, I've been an educator for a long time before I was an herbalist, but that's where a lot of my heart is because I can explain things to people. Even when I had a brick and mortar herb shop in Columbus, Ohio, I people would come in and I would ask them questions and draw out what they needed and make suggestions and explain things because most people it doesn't come second nature to them what they need. They need someone to help them. And so, through questioning with every customer, we would find the right solution for them. So it's always been like that. And really, I think where modern biochemical medicine fall short is not asking enough questions, not listening enough, and not connecting the dots in a holistic way, the way an herbalist does, right? So I was taught in Western herbalism, which is sort of the European canon, but since I was taught in the United States, and we're a nation of immigrants, it has included Chinese medicine and Ayurveda and brujeria and like just all these other traditions from other countries have gotten mixed into Western herbalism in the United States. But I have always educated as part of what I do, and that hasn't stopped. And I still teach online courses. And also, I've started teaching in-person classes again since the pandemic, like, everything kind of shut down. And then I just didn't redo it. But now that I'm sort of rooted here, I found some really great venues of people who are very thirsty for holistic health information and herbalism and DIY. And yeah, so I've been teaching again. That's fun.
Excellent. Excellent. Because like you said, that is what you do, right? You are an educator at heart. And
Yeah.
so it's great that you found the forum to be able to continue to do that.
Yeah.
Let's roll it back to a comment you made where you said, when I had a brick and mortar in
Hmm.
Columbus. So
Yeah.
where are you now with that? And how are you still able to provide that excellent customer service and indulging the curiosity of your clientele? How's that working out now? How are you approaching it?
Yeah, so we have an e-commerce store and honestly I miss having customers face-to-face connection and things like that. But I will say that all of my former customers of the brick and mortar are still fans of the online store and we communicate back and forth. And I go above and beyond to try and create a um, excellent customer experience, right? Both through a personal touch with me, but also, filling in the repetitious gaps with automation, making sure they hear from us, making sure they have information every step of the way, whether they're ordering products or, they've booked a consultation, right? all of that happens. It's just harder work because you don't have that, you know,
Hmm.
meat space interaction, right? Um, but I do work hard on that, and I think about that a lot. So yeah, so there's like a lot of different places, and one of the things that I did this year actually was invest quite a bit of money into building a custom CRM solution so that everybody that I come in contact with, regardless of why, is in there, and it enabled me to connect the dots. There were some people in there, like I imported an old student list from a class that I taught before the pandemic. And for the first time, I was able to see, like, oh, yeah, they've stayed in touch. They've been a customer and they've taken this online class and they went to one of my webinars. Like, when I imported all the lists from all the places and it was all finally in one spot, it was so valuable. I got to see, oh,
Right.
these dots are connected still. Like there's still a connection that we have. And so I was able to appreciate the people that are either clients or customers or students so much more, right? So yeah, so I invested a lot in that tech in order to make sure that nobody fell through the cracks again and that I had all the dots connected.
And that is a big expense. And I know it's not without frustration either. It's so much back and forth. It's does this work? No, this bloody thing doesn't work that way. And then, but I love hearing happy customers at the end of it when you say, oh, okay, great. Right. And not my customers, but just customers in general, clients who people, entrepreneurs who have worked with an automated tech solution and have been able to make it to the other side because so many people give up along the way
Oh
because
yeah.
it is difficult, it is expensive, it is frustrating, it's a lot of back and forth. But when you get it, as you say, then wow, you can get all these insights from your clients, right? It's huge. The outcome's worth it. So keep going, people. Keep working with that automation.
Yeah, if you can continue with the slog, I know so many people that have stopped.
Yeah.
But it is really worth it. And I honestly, I see so many business owners that get into whatever they're doing because of a passion project, because they're so, into baking or they, make something. They're an artist. But when it comes to the business side of things, it falls apart because they haven't built that solid business foundation. And it's not what we get into the business to do, right? To count numbers and build, workflows and things like
No,
that, right?
no.
Um, but honestly, like it's so much smoother now. Like I invested a chunk of money and a bunch of my time. It was like 3 months of work,
Yeah.
but it totally made a huge difference in my business. Things feel easier now. Yeah, so
Good, good. Because I think that's the thing too. It's really easy to fall into the I am overwhelmed as an entrepreneur, small
yeah,
business owner. I know we use them, whatever, back and forth all of the time. I know that there's differences, but it's hard. You are fighting so many battles all at once.
it is. And honestly, like the thing that I told some friends of mine that got into, running their own business, I said, because they also said, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know, la, la, la. I'm like, there's always going to be a to-do list. You will never have zero to do. Just get used to it. Ride the
Right.
wave, like figure out your priorities. You get to set them because it's your business and, make it happen. Pick 3 things every day that you're going to do. And those are the things. And, you do the 3 things and you feel accomplished. But if you're only looking at your humongous to-do list, you're never going to feel accomplished. You're never going to be satisfied at the end of the day because there's always something else. So, keep that on the long-term project page and on your daily page, 3 things. Yeah.
That's exactly it. Because you and I and so many of our listeners were the little ADHD squirrels, right? And squirrels, we like to collect acorns. And we've got this to do, this to do, this to do, this to do, this to do. And everybody has a different method. I look
Yep.
at my ridiculous to-do list every day. Same thing. I don't go for three. I go for my top one and two. What are the 2 things that are raging infernos and are going to singe my nose hairs off? And I look at those and like, those are the things I need to do. And if I get those done, woo, right, it's a good day.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I do like at the beginning of the week, I do my weekly plan. These are the things that I need to get done this week. And then I like put them in the different days of the week, no more than like three major ones. Plus, you got the meetings and the events and all that stuff that you got to do. Um, but yeah, that has helped my brain cope a little bit. Being able to, I'm a super planner, like I plan, plan, plan.
Yes, you are. You're
Um,
months and months in advance,
Oh yes.
quarters.
No, my 2026 planner has things for December in it. It's just what it is. Especially since I have, the cyclic kind of, annual year, like what is my marketing plan for Haven for 2026? And I plot all that. When do I have to have that lead magnet done? When do I have to create that video? When am I recording a podcast? All of those things. They need to be plotted, otherwise they won't get done.
Bingo, bingo. Oh, yes. Like I've gotten better at that because I've realized, wow, Laurelyn, you can't do it all in your head. It,
Oh gosh.
I've crossed that point. It doesn't work, even though I still try to, today, case in point, but there we go. Right. It's every once in a while you're like, okay, let's not do that. Let's talk about timelines because in general, clients I find are getting a little bit more demanding in the sense of, hey, I bought it, I want it. We've gotten so used to instant gratification and I ordered it. Why isn't it delivered by drone yet? It's been an hour, right? We're in that kind of
Yeah,
mindset.
thanks, Bezos.
Right, right, right. Yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah,
And so I think about that and I think about how herbs and how they take time to work is part of that onboarding document that you share that says, hey, clients, things take time. Don't expect results overnight. Or do people have the expectation that, no, no, I'm coming in. I understand, how this could work. I'm going to give it a few months. Talk to us about mindset and timing because a lot of business owners struggle with that with whatever service they provide.
for sure, for sure. With widget fulfillment, we fulfill it right away. But with expectations around helping people with a custom formula and consultations, or how long they were going to need to take things, or how often they're going to need to take things to get results. Like, I'm all about proactive communication, right? I do that. And I respond also because not everybody's going to read my proactive education, but like I have a whole FAQ. This is how tinctures work, right? This is how you take turmeric tea paste to make golden milk, right? Like I have all of that set up in advance and I can refer people to it. Um, but like I'm gonna take time and explain things. When we moved to our new town here in Ohio, last year, we've been here for almost a year now because it's almost the end of the year. The first thing I did was I signed up for the farmers market so
Mhm.
that I was a visible face and brand to the people here because this is now my community, right? And so I got to explain things over and over and over in person as well as introduce them to the brand, right? And get some feedback and do sampling and things like that. Um, and I find that to be really invaluable. That moment where people are telling you something about themselves and they feel heard and you're able to offer a solution. And, I've had some clients here locally that came to me via the farmers market and I got to see them in subsequent weeks as they were progressing in their wellness plan. And, I'm like, so how's it going? And like, it's so satisfying when people are feeling better and you can see it visibly, but you also get to solicit that feedback like, great, let's set up another appointment. Let's move the needle further, right? Like, and I always tell people, we start with what we can accomplish in a month together, and then I want to check back and circle back. You have a month of taking the supplements that you're doing, you have a month of implementing those lifestyle changes that we talked about, and then I want to see how it's going. And
Mhm.
we can keep going. And I've had some clients that have been with me, people with a lot of chronic conditions, a whole menu not a tasty menu, but a menu of chronic conditions. And they've been with me for a while because we started here and now we're all the way over here. And we're working on, because I always try and give people the most bang for their buck. Like these are the three things that are going to make you feel immediately better. And then we're going to incrementally do the rest, right? Um, it's really about checking in, being proactive with your communication, no matter how you're interacting, whether it's a client or a customer, and making a difference in addressing their needs, you know? Like I always find that I do a better job when I have the mindset of being of service to someone, right? Like that is what I'm doing. Whether I'm selling a product or I'm doing a consultation, my job is to be of service to this person and help them with their issue. That's really, yeah.
That is what it's about. I recently got a client for her small business glow up because she said that she had gone to a couple of marketing agencies and asked for things. They're like, oh yeah, yeah, they're there. Just sign the check here. Yeah, go do. Yeah, we got this. And she said, but no one's listening to me. And so I
Yeah.
listened. And so that's the kind of thing I think that people are really looking for. We want that extra touch. We want to feel comforted because so many of us have been taken advantage of in
Oh,
our
heck
journey of small business ownership and entrepreneurship, right? It's
definitely.
crazy.
I've been there. And honestly, like, you know, the one thing that I will say is taking the time to establish a relationship with your customer or your client, making sure that they feel heard and that they feel that connection. That was my main concern when I did all the automation, right? When I got the fancy CRM built for me and all that, I was like, I want to design that workflow myself. I want the language to be mine. I want them to feel like, I am here for them and it's not some robot or, some AI bot.
Right.
I want it to be heartfelt and
Lily.
yeah, I want it to be me. Yeah.
Yes.
And so I think that's important too. Like it was important for me to automate in order to scale, but it was also really important to me to make sure people feel connected.
And I think that's a key message that you can have both, right? You can have your cake and eat it too. You can get all the value of the AI and the insights and the connections and find the patterns and the automation and all that stuff, but you can still keep it human. You
Yeah.
don't have to completely turn it over to the bot and say, run with this, because that won't work.
Yes. And that's what I try and tell people. Like I have an online course where I'm teaching healers to be good business people, right? All the finance and operations things that they need. And that's what I try, that's the message I try and deliver. It's like, you're here because you want to help people, right? But you need help to do that. And so we need to build that solid foundation. You need to know your numbers. You need to understand how your business works and where your customer touches your business. Like all of those things are important. Otherwise, you just have a really expensive hobby.
Bingo, bingo. That's so true. Oh my goodness. All right, back to some herb stuff.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what do you think is the most underrated herb? One of the little sneakster deekster ones that it can do wonders, but no one really knows about it.
My favorite herb, which is so humble and the leaves are like super tiny, is thyme.
Oh,
Thymus vulgaris.
yes.
Thyme is not only tasty, but it kills more pathogens than bleach. And so they've started to make hand sanitizer just out of thyme, not out of alcohol or anything. You don't need it. Um, and you can ingest it. So it's good. So I always include thyme in my sort of oral immune system preparations for the cold season. It's my favorite. I love it. And
Hmm.
it's so humble, right? It's so humble.
Yes, yes. No, no, I love it. And of course, there's all kinds of opportunities for plays on words and things like that. So,
Sure.
it's a good time to use
Yeah,
more
I have a
time, right?
product that is thyme and elderberry, and it's called Thyme, Thyme, to elderberry that cold. Time to elderberry that cold.
Clever, clever Lily. Yeah.
They have ridiculous product names. I don't know if you check them out at all, but
Yes, but that's what makes it fun. One of the
yeah,
makeups that I really, oh my goodness, I forget what it was now. Not Benevolent or Beautiful Cosmetics, something. And they were the first to really have crazy names, and it just makes it so
right,
fun.
right.
Benevolent Makeup, I think it was. Oh no, I don't remember now.
Yeah, no, I make people giggle when they're like, I have a UTI, and I'm like, here you go. You're in it to win it. That's the name of my solution. Yeah. You gotta laugh.
You've got to, right? And it's also part of the differentiation. That's how we bring our personalities into our brands.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just a world where bots can communicate with bots. Did you like this? Do you want this? Check, check.
Right.
No, no,
Right.
no, 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 no. Okay, let's think about again entrepreneur mindset. So a lot of people talk about the minimal viable product, right? The MVP, especially when you're building technology software. You just want the demo, something that's clickable, something that works, something that an investor or potential buyer can click on. Well, we've got a whole audience and growing at that. So thank you everybody for helping make this show really, really boom. Our guests, our audience would love it. Publicists, everybody, keep it coming. And if we look at an MVP, right,
Mhm.
for entrepreneurs, busy entrepreneurs, and you had to create a minimal viable, I don't know, product, pathway, process, something to think about herbs and think about wellness for that busy entrepreneur, what do you
Mhm.
suggest? We're in the new year here. What can they do?
Gosh, I have never been one that follows that kind of business advice, so I don't know if I'm the right person. You should see how many SKUs are at Haven Herbs. Holy cow. But it's because with herbs in particular, so herbalists are matchmakers, is what I tell my students. We match a human being and their constitution and their set of symptoms and their condition, current condition, with a plant and its energetics as well as its actions within the body. We play matchmaker. And so, um, for example, two different people have come to me with a diagnosis of eczema. One
Mm,
of them has dry, scaly rash that itches and it bleeds when they scratch it. And another person has a wet weeping rash, but both of them were given the diagnosis of eczema. And you're not going to give the same plants
oh,
to those two people, right? They're very different. And so for me, if I'm telling healers out there to do a good job and limit the SKUs, I'm telling them to listen and formulate custom. That's what I'm telling them because doing what I did, having like an over the counter kind of apothecary, which it's a very different kind of formulation in addition to the custom, you end up with hundreds of SKUs because not everything is good for everybody, you know?
yeah,
Um, so think about what are the issues in your area. When I first moved to Columbus and I opened up my brick and mortar store, I had one shelf of respiratory remedies. But very quickly, because Central Ohio is a basin and all the particulates and pollution kind of sit here under cloud cover, I expanded to two shelves, an upper and a lower respiratory shelf, because people needed it in Ohio. People need respiratory remedies. And so I expanded that line because I needed more flexibility in what I could recommend to people. So
got
many
it. So
SKUs.
so there really is no MVP, no shortcuts. You need something custom. So if you want to kick off the new year, talk to your favorite herbalist and figure out a
Yeah.
formula to make it work, right?
You can find one in your area by going to the American Herbalist Guild. We do have a guild. We don't have licensing in the United States for herbalists, but we do have a guild that makes sure that you're seeing a practitioner that's well educated. Yes.
There you go. That's key. I mean, look at the years it took you to complete your certifications and degrees and get all of that, a few years invested, plus all of the learning that goes around that. It's not just, hey, I showed up for school, got the degree, click, I'm done. There is no done, right? Like you said, you keep learning.
Oh yeah. You can't see it, but in my office I've got like three or four bookshelves, top to bottom, of books that I have read and think, every time I get a new client and it's something that I haven't specifically worked on, I am reading more about, scientific studies. I'm reading the pharmaceuticals that they're on. I have a big, thick thing about, all the pharmaceuticals that nurses use in the hospital. I learn every week something new, right? So, yeah.
I think we have to as entrepreneurs. If we don't keep learning, give it up, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just like you said, you're just making the widgets. You're a factory worker. That's what you
Oh,
are.
I
You make
agree.
widgets. Yes. You're not serving the needs as they change, and you're not learning and growing as an entrepreneur. Yeah, I've had a lot of learning and growth in 2025. I'm ready to kind of slow it down for a little bit. I full right now.
Oh, sure. I remember seeing a mug that I almost bought for somebody for the holidays, and it said, "Oh, great, another freaking learning experience." You know,
Right? That's just it. That is about it. Every day, something on fire, something burning.
right?
Yes. Yeah. Trying to learn from that. Yeah. Yeah. I get it. That's where it is. All right. As we're getting to the end of our podcast, Lily, what bit of other advice do you want to give folks as a small business owner? You've
Mhm.
done the brick and mortar, you've done the education, you've done the and are doing the online commerce. So you kind of done a lot of it, and you were at the early stage, really a lot of evangelism into herbalism and stuff. You got in early days where people were a little more skeptical than they are now, right? Hello, $6.5 trillion global marketplace in wellness.
Yeah.
What do you want to tell folks?
Um, Learn your business, right? In my business of wellness, there are a lot of people out there that are just trying to make money, and they will sell things to people and give them false information about what their product does. And it dilutes the potency of what plant medicine can do. And it infuriates me, right? I don't like people being taken advantage of. So I would say learn your industry, whatever it is, learn it well, and operate with integrity. Yeah.
There you go. Well said. Now, where can people find you, Lily Cunning, and or Haven Herbs?
It's at havenherbs.com. You can do everything there. You can do online courses, you can do consultations, you can buy products from me or from other brands. We're turning into sort of a sustainable slash natural superstore in 2026. And so I'm vetting different brands and bringing them in. I already carry one of my favorites, which is Wish Garden out of Colorado, and Plant Therapy, which is an aromatherapy company. And I'm bringing more in as we go. And basically, everybody has to meet the ethos of organic, ethical, uh, pronounceable, and effective. And also, plastic is not great. And so, in terms of packaging, like minimal, if any, plastic. And I carry a whole line of plastic alternatives because I hate plastic so much. Um,
Go to my grocery store with my little mesh bags for my produce and all of that sort of stuff. Yes, yes, I am
exactly.
there. Yes.
Yeah, havenherbs.com is where I am. That's my
Excellent. 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 And we've got some other podcasts coming up. Power of Elderberries, all natural and all that stuff. Jessica Lowry, wonderful guest that we've also had on the show. So you two might want to connect. Happy to make that connection. But our signature question is we wrap up with Lily Cunning of Haven Herbs. Lily, if we got to look in that closet of yours, and there might be some footwear or an accessory, something that screams, I am Lily Cunning. And I feel like $1 million when I wear it. It just personifies me, my brand. What are we looking at?
I have a thing for sustainable fashion, and so Um, I always am looking for things that sort of keep things out of landfills. And I have a purse that's made from recycled billboards and seat belts. And I have a raincoat that uses little toggle closures that people repurposed old tires to make the toggles. And then they waxed the canvas to make it rain repellent. Like, I'm always looking for stuff like that. I know it's dorky, but it's totally my jam.
You know what? You get to be dorky. I consider myself a cool nerd. I used to be teased my whole life for being a nerd, being a geek, being whatever. You know what? Now I'm a cool nerd. And I
Yeah.
celebrate other dorks and stuff. And that's part of what this show is. We were all the dorks and geeks and all of that. And pff, now look at us. Yeah, there. Take that, right? All right. Lily Kunning, founder of havenherbs.com. You can find her there, find her everywhere. Thank you so much for being on our show, and we wish you tremendous success in your growth of your wellness superstore and tremendous success in 2026.
Thank you so much. It was really a pleasure to be here.
About that fantastic intro by Touch Circle.